Hello everyone, I'm CJ Wellerman. Don't forget to click the subscribe button below, and once you've done that, then we kindly ask you please help keep our show going and growing by supporting my journalism and this program at patreon.com/CJWellerman. Even $1 or even $5 per month is a big help, and you'll be helping us expose more injustices in the Muslim world. Now let's get into it. Qatar is the first Muslim country to host the FIFA World Cup, but Western countries are aiming to make it the last Muslim country to ever host the tournament by seizing upon Qatar's anti-homosexuality laws. But we've seen this tactic used against Muslim populations many times before. This is the weaponization of LGBTQ rights to advance the strategic interests of anti-Islamic states such as Europe, Israel, India, and the United States. For years, Palestinians have been victimized by LGBTQ activists who have pinkwashed Israel's criminal occupation and system of apartheid rule.
Applying the concept of pinkwashing to Israel. The idea here is that the Israeli government doesn't actually care about the rights of individual LGBTQ people, but rather is using the movement to rebrand Israel in order to cover up its mistreatment of Palestinians in occupied territories.
We don't want to allow the Israeli government to use liberal Tel Aviv in order to hide occupied Hebron.
We will return to Israel later in this episode, but let's first take a look at what's happening to Qatar. Right now, the Arab country is being presented in the Western media as a country filled with fanatical Muslims who are easily tripped into fitful rage at the mere sight of a gay rainbow. This right here is a textbook example of how the West uses Islamophobia to advocate gay rights. But let me make this clear. Criticizing Qatar this way or another is not an issue. The issue here is the West's hypocritical double standards as they relate to human rights, and the way Western countries use LGBTQ as a weapon to demonize Muslim countries and Islamic culture. Take Germany, for example. Its national football team covered their mouths to protest the banning of the rainbow armband during World Cup matches. But this protest reflects Germany's hostility towards Islam and not a sincere concern for LGBTQ rights, because Germany deports gay asylum seekers to the Middle East in violation of international law. This is the same Germany that happily buys oil and gas from Qatar. And this is the same Germany that bans so-called free speech when German citizens express solidarity for Palestinians. I mean, we are talking about a country in which more than 800 mosques have been attacked by right-wing extremists during the past 8 years. And let's not forget that it really wasn't all that long ago when the German football team was giving the Nazi salute while playing in England. But Qatar is an easy target, because Western countries instrumentalize gay people to pontificate Western values while demonizing Islamic countries. These same Western countries were notably silent about gay rights when Russia hosted the previous World Cup in 2018, even though homosexuality has been effectively criminalized there. You see, what the Western media wants you to forget is that unlike Russia, America, Britain and Europe, Qatar has never invaded another country, never committed a Holocaust or genocide. It asks only for visitors to respect its religion and culture.
Yeah, it's been very disappointing for people who live here because it's not being portrayed accurately or fairly in my view. Like I said, I've lived here for 6 years. I live with and amongst Qatari people and live in their country, which is welcoming and accepting, and living with a lot of different nationalities all living together. It's a very safe environment. I've never felt so safe.
I mean, ask yourself this question. Why are white people always so eager to stand up for gay rights, but never the rights of other persecuted peoples, like the Palestinians, Kashmiris, or Uyghurs? Well, it boils down to money. You see, it's politically safe for athletes to take a stand against anti-gay bigotry, because no corporate sponsor or football club is going to punish them for doing so. But when a footballer expresses public solidarity for Palestinians or Uyghur Muslims, they are punished by those that profit from doing business with Israel and China. I mean, look what happened to German football star Mesut Ozil when he spoke out against the Muslim genocide in Xinjiang. Not only was he censored by FIFA, but also he was dumped by his club and sponsor because they profit hugely from the Chinese market. Now watch his former agent describe the dilemma Mesut faced.
And I called him, look, Mesut, this will happen. Sponsors in China, there's region, or sponsors even related to China, you will lose. It can affect A, B, C. I give him the whole list.
But wearing a rainbow armband while playing for a national football team in a Muslim country is hardly an act of bravery. I mean, look how quickly the England team backtracked after being threatened only with a yellow card. This is the same England that banned Muslim cricketer Moeen Ali from wearing a Palestinian wristband. But we've seen this kind of hypocrisy time and time again, because in the West, morality is subjective and outrage selective. For instance, during the opening game of the World Cup, a Palestinian child was shot and killed by Israeli forces on the way to school. But this is what the Western world was outraged about: a guy being denied entry into a Qatar stadium for wearing a rainbow t-shirt. Denied entry into a stadium. Has the world forgot that he'd be arrested for wearing a hijab in India or France? Surely you can now see that there's one rule for Muslim countries and another rule for others. But none of these realities stop Western countries from weaponizing LGBTQ rights against Islamic populations. You see, for years, Israel has been instrumentalizing the gay community to exploit Israel's relatively progressive stance on gay rights as a means to deflect international attention away from its criminal occupation and system of apartheid rule. Israel says to the world, look, we allow gays to dance freely in the streets while Hamas is locking gays in jail.
That same Israel, where gays march proudly in our streets and serve in our parliament, including, I'm proud to say, in my own Likud party.
Netanyahu wants you to forget that 2 million Palestinians in Gaza are not only locked in a steel cage, but also treated far worse than animals in a zoo. He also wants you to forget Israel funds right-wing political parties in the West that actively discriminate against gay people, which demonstrates clearly how Muslim-hating countries use the LGBTQ movement as a shield. India also uses pinkwashing to hide its human rights abuses in Kashmir. In 2019, it tried to justify its illegal annexation of Kashmir by claiming it would improve the rights of the LGBT community in the disputed territory. This tactic is also meant to make you forget India has killed more than 100,000 Kashmiris since 1989. But let me finish with this. I support equal rights for all people, including the LGBT community. But what we as Westerners need to understand is that Western values are not universal. But even more than that, since when does the West get to speak for the entire human race, given its history of colonial conquest, theft and exploitation? It's also important to understand that Islamic countries hold different values to the West, and that when you choose to visit Qatar, Saudi Arabia or wherever, you should be willing to play by their rules and respect their culture. And if you are a member of the LGBT community, then know this about Middle Eastern countries. They have a simple don't ask, don't tell policy. All they ask is you don't shove this kind of stuff in their face. So be kind, be polite, that's pretty much it. Oh, and one last thing before we go. Last week we accused Elon Musk of hating Muslims. Well, this is what has happened since. He deleted a tweet showing this YouTube channel exposing Indian police violence against Muslims. More proof that this craven douche nozzle is a crypto-fascist who supports the Israeli and Indian governments. Anyway, that's my time for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we kindly ask you please support this endeavor by becoming a member of this show at patreon.com/CJWellman. We can't produce, sustain and grow this show without your help, and we offer exclusive benefits to those who do. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.